you all for coming to our second Sunday Feast program. Last Sunday, we had our first Sunday Feast program, inaugural, official Sunday Feast program. And then we resolved that from now on, every Sunday, we'll have a program, no matter how big it is. So thank you all for coming. I know it's a long distance. Many of you have come all the way from North Carolina. Many of you have come all the way from Charlotte. And some of you have come all the way from Alachua. And many of you have come from Orlando. And some of us are from Deland. Deland. Sunday Love Feast, actually. How many of you know how this program started? Raise your hands. Oh, so many of you are in ignorance. It started in 1977 when Prabhupada went to America. How many of you have read Prabhupada's biography, Lilamrita? Very good. Those who haven't read it, please make it a point to read it. It's very important to get to know about Srila Prabhupada, what Srila Prabhupada has achieved, how Srila Prabhupada has achieved, what he has achieved is remarkable. And it is going to become a history in the course of time. No one has ever achieved whatever Prabhupada has achieved in the past. In the past, no one achieved what Prabhupada achieved. There are big, big heroes in the world who went out to conquer the world. But all of them failed. Well, the first one to try to conquer the world was Alexander the Great. He went from Greece, Macedonia, all the way to India. But in Indian border, his dream was shattered.
He died in Babylon.
And, yes, you want to say something?
He died in Babylon. It's a city in...
No, he died, Alexander died in Persia. And why, you know why he died? He died of his heart failure because his dream was shattered. His dream was to conquer India. Because his idea was to conquer India would be synonymous to conquering the world. Alexander's teacher was Aristotle. And Aristotle was very much influenced by the Indian philosophy. He is a great philosopher, but he actually took his concepts, most of his concepts from Vedic understanding. Like, for example, Vedas have given us the 4 classes in the society, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Now in the West, they have a tendency to alter something a little bit and pass it as his own, isn't it? So you know what Aristotle do? What Aristotle did? He divided the human society into 3 classes. Gold, silver, and iron. 3 classes of people. Thinker, doer, and servants. Thinkers, administrators, and servants. He somehow missed out the Vaishya part of it. Because really, anyway, so there are many. Another person who wanted to conquer the world was Napoleon. And in this way, there are various people who tried to conquer the world but didn't succeed. But there is one person who succeeded in conquering the world. Tell me, who is that?
Srila Prabhupada.
Right. Srila Prabhupada is the only person who succeeded in conquering the world. And he didn't do it with the sword. He did not try to do it with military power. He did it with love and knowledge, wisdom. And he conquered in such a way that although he left, his influence or his domain is increasing, becoming more and more wider. Right? Like there are areas which were not conquered by Prabhupada. He went and made the arrangements for conquering, like for example Russia or Eastern European bloc, which was behind Iron Curtain before. Srila Prabhupada went there and planted the dynamite, the love bomb, and which is more powerful than a nuclear weapon. And that bomb exploded. He arranged this fuse to be pulled out by one Russian. His name was Anatoly Piniev, who was initiated by Prabhupada. Prabhupada stayed there for 3 days and he initiated him. What an amazing arrangement. Nowadays you have to chant 16 rounds for one follow the 4 regulating principles, have the temple president's authorization and so forth. And if the temple president is not favorably disposed, then you have no hope. So, but Prabhupada made that arrangement. Just went there, met this boy, first day, second day, in his hotel room, gave him initiation, and he gave him the name Ananta Shanti. In the land of Ashanti, he is Ananta Shanti. And that's how Prabhupada started. Right. And today what happened? Russia those days was the most difficult country to enter into. Because of communism. But then what happened? In 1988, Glasnost and Perestroika in Russia. Communism saw its last days in Russia. Anyway, so the point is, the countries, those that Prabhupada did not conquer, in due course of time they're being conquered. So now practically all over the world, Krishna consciousness is spread. Another difficult country was the Muslim countries. They don't allow any other religion to be practiced. In the Muslim countries now, the Muslim countries have become, like some country has become, what are the names I'm trying to remember? Anyway, things like Gordesh, Damodar Desh. Bahrain is? No, Bahrain, Balaram Desh. Jayapataka Maharaj went and conquered them on behalf of Prabhupada. So this is how Krishna consciousness is spreading. Now tell me, who is the biggest successor? I mean, whose story is the most successful one? So who conquered the world literally? Like if Alexander conquered the world, what would have done? He would have spread his influence, isn't it? He would have made India into Greece. He would have tried to make India into, Egypt into, he did to some extent. He conquered Egypt and set up his colony. And like that. So that's what they would have done. They would have occupied the country and established his ideology. Now, Prabhupada, what did he do? He established his ideology, Krishna consciousness. But how did he do it? Without any bloodshed. It's a transcendental revolution without any bloodshed. The old system is gone, new system came in. And that's what's going to happen. Eventually, all over the world. And what is the culture? No meat eating. Today's world is full of meat eating. No intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. And chant Hare Krishna, meaning become devoted to Krishna. So is it happening all over the world? And how did it start? That's the story I'm going to tell you today. Prabhupada went to America, I'm sure all of you know that, in 1966. 17 September, Srila Prabhupada arrived in Boston. The next day, Prabhupada arrived in New York. Then from New York, Srila Prabhupada went to Butler, Pennsylvania. And there Prabhupada stayed for about a week or so. Maybe a little longer than a week. I don't know the exact number of days. But Prabhupada's business was not in a small little town like Butler. Prabhupada's business was in New York. So Prabhupada comes to New York. Prabhupada didn't know anybody when he went there. The only person he knew was Gopal Agarwal, who was living in Butler. So the Prabhupada went to his place. Then while Prabhupada was in America, he got to know about one person, Indian person. His name was Dr. Mishra. So Dr. Mishra was a doctor, actually. He was a medical doctor. But Dr. Mishra became a yoga teacher because he could foresee that yoga is a better profession than teaching yoga is a better profession than medical profession. So he started his ashram there in New York, Ananda Ashram. So Prabhupada stayed in that Ananda Ashram for a few days. And in the course of his stay there, he got to know some young boys. And Prabhupada decided to move out, and some of these boys actually helped. And how did he help? When they got to know that Prabhupada wanted to have a place in New York, they were lamenting, "Oh, Swamiji, I wish you told me a few days earlier, because one loft was there for going free, because the boy who was living in there, he was going to San Francisco. Those days, all the young Americans were their paradise was San Francisco, Golden Gate Park, to pursue the culture of the flower power, the culture of what was the other name for that? Counterculture. People used to call that hippie culture, but they didn't call it hippie culture. It's those others who called them hippies. They used to call themselves freaks. That was their identity. And they were pursuing the flower power and the culture of love, they thought. Because they felt, the young Americans those days, they felt that what one actually needs is love. It became quite obvious from the music they made those days. Money cannot buy love. All that everybody wants is love. So, so they just realize the need for love. That's what everybody needs. And that's what they were trying to pursue. And they were going against the then American system, the system that was sending them to die in a far-off land called Vietnam. They recruited to fight a battle in Vietnam. And they consider, why should we give our lives to go to that place and die? Or even if they don't die, so many of them died, and so many of them got injured and paralyzed, like disabled. And anyway, so these were the things that culminated into all that they were searching for, a positive alternative, a counterculture. And so anyway, so these boys were saying, oh Swamiji, I wish you told us earlier, then that place was available. We could have got it for you. But the boy who got that place, his name was David Allen. So David Allen said, okay, I got the place, but Swamiji can stay with me. These young boys were very broad-minded actually. And it was unusual. They were kind of favorably disposed to each other of the similar age. And they considered that people above 30 were of another world. They had nothing to do with them. They themselves were freaks and they were squares. They were round and they were square. And so a square doesn't fit in a round hole. Square peg doesn't fit in a round hole. So that was the idea. So anyway, so Prabhupada started to stay with David Allen. But then David Allen, who actually became very much influenced by Srila Prabhupada, he gave up his habits of taking drugs and so forth. But then he got back into his bad habits again. Actually, one day he lost himself and he tried to attack Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada ran down the stairs, came to the street. Again, no place to stay. But by the time Prabhupada got to know some of the young boys, and one of them was Michael Grant. So Prabhupada called Michael and told him what happened. So Michael could not make arrangement for Srila Prabhupada right away, but Michael actually made arrangements for Prabhupada to stay with some of his friends. So Prabhupada stayed there for a while, for a short while, and then Michael actually arranged for Prabhupada to stay at one place and also have a place where from he could preach. He got a storefront for Srila Prabhupada. He got a storefront for rent for Prabhupada to preach from, and that is 26 Second Avenue. And behind that, there was an apartment on the first floor, and that was Prabhupada's accommodation arrangement. So this is how Prabhupada started to preach in New York. from 26 Second Avenue. He was giving the Bhagavad Gita classes in the evening. And those who are more serious, more interested, Prabhupada was giving them Chaitanya Charitamrita classes in the morning. So these young boys and girls became attracted to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And they started to come. And they started to help Srila Prabhupada. That Michael Grant, we know who is that Michael Grant, who actually helped Srila Prabhupada in a remarkable way. Like he first got the 26 Second Avenue, then he made arrangements for Prabhupada to go to San Francisco, which was the center of the youth American culture, young American culture, or the culture of the American youth. Golden Gate Park and Haight-Ashbury. So there he got another place for Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada went to that place in San Francisco, started to preach there. And then what happened? The Hare Krishna explosion. The Hare Krishna explosion. So that Michael Grant actually is Mukunda Maharaj. Mukunda Maharaj's help in the early stages is inconceivable. So here we have a very wonderful disciple of Mukunda Maharaj today. That's Vaikuntha Prabhu.
My wife.
Oh, you're a wife. Okay. Anyway, one half. You took initiation?
Oh, Rameshwar.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Anyway, but I saw your intimate relationship with Mukunda Maharaj. And so preaching started. Prabhupada started to give classes in 26 Second Avenue, in the evenings, giving classes on Bhagavad Gita. And people, the young boys and girls, started to come. They were not so keen on Bhagavad Gita actually, most of them. Few of them were, like I'll tell them about that also. Anyway, since I mentioned, most of them came just for music. Because those young Americans were very fond of music. And they liked Swami making music. So they used to come and they used to bring their instruments also. So whatever they used to have, they used to come. They used to make music with Swami. And then Prabhupada started to also take them to the Tompkins Square Park. He himself went to Tompkins Square Park, people became attracted. Now people started to come. And Prabhupada saw that these young boys and girls, they did not, although they are coming from very opulent background, but they did not really have any place to stay, they didn't have any food to eat. They voluntarily accepted a life of renunciation. So Prabhupada gave them, made arrangements for them to cook, to have food. He himself used to cook. And they loved Prabhupada's food. So then gradually Prabhupada decided that on every Sunday we'll have a feast. Prabhupada started to have the feast on Sundays, like officially. Those who were staying there, like some of the boys, they didn't have any place to stay. They asked Swamiji whether they could stay in that storefront. Prabhupada said, fine, stay there. So they started to stay there. And do you know how the first girl came in to stay? Prabhupada initially, naturally, didn't have any plan for the girls to move in there. But there was one girl, Judy. So she became attracted to Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And one day she came and told Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I want to stay here. Prabhupada said, how will you stay? And your place is at your home. Stay with your father. My father? You call him anything else, but not father. And this was the situation. They didn't, as I said, they were searching for love. They didn't get it. And when they got it, they responded to that. They found that love that they were hankering for. They got it from Srila Prabhupada. And so she was insisting. Prabhupada said, no, you can't. Where will you stay? Swamiji, you have another room here. And Prabhupada naturally was resisting. One day she moved in with all her things, whatever little she could carry. She came in. I left my home and I came here to stay. Then Prabhupada allowed her to stay there. So that is how broad-minded Srila Prabhupada was. So anyway, and so Prabhupada, those days Prabhupada didn't have any money. Very little money. Prabhupada had, that he used to get from distributing the books. Prabhupada didn't take any money, but what Prabhupada took is a three trunk full of books, Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto in 3 volumes. So those books Srila Prabhupada used to go and sell. And so whatever little money Prabhupada had, those days things were a lot cheaper also, not like today. Like the prices in America has become so expensive for food stuff. Everything has become expensive. In one way, their salary is increasing and the price of commodities are also going. So they are thinking that they are earning so much money, but the value of that money is the same. It didn't really increase. Anyway, so whatever little money Srila Prabhupada had, he used to go to Chinatown. Chinatown, there the things were cheaper. They were close by also, from 26nd Avenue to Chinatown, just a few blocks. So Prabhupada used to buy the vegetables and things from Chinatown. He used to come, cut the vegetables, cook everything. And Prabhupada used to invite those boys and girls, come, take prasad. And Prabhupada not only bought the prasad, bought the bhoga, cooked the bhoga, offered the bhoga, served the prasad. The service they did, serving they did. They did the serving. But after taking prasad, they all left. Can you imagine the condition of that place? All the pots and pans were dirty, and so Prabhupada himself used to wash them. But then gradually, of course, they started to assist Srila Prabhupada. Kirtananda Swami was the first one that Prabhupada taught how to cook and make chapatis. And so he started to assist Srila Prabhupada. This is how Prabhupada engaged those boys in cooking also. And then Prabhupada called that Sunday Love Feast, because everyone wants love. And Prabhupada went there to give them love. And that's the purpose of this movement. Distribute love of Krishna, real love. What goes on in the name of love in this world is not love. It's lust. Chaitanya Charitamrita very clearly defines that. The desire to gratify one's own senses is called lust. But the desire to give pleasure to Krishna's senses is love. Atmendriyo priti vancha tare boli kam. The tendency to gratify one's own senses is lust. But Krishnendriyo priti ichha dhare prema nam. The desire to give pleasure to Krishna's senses is called prem or love. Kam and prem. Kam means lust, prem means love. Otoeb, therefore, kam preme bahuto antar. Therefore, there is a big difference between love and lust. Kam andhotamo. Kam, lust is the deepest region of darkness. Whereas love is brilliant as the sun. Kam andhotamo prem nirmal bhaskar. It's not only brilliant but spotless. Nirmal. Spotless. Brilliant. Rays of the light of the sun. So, Prabhupada actually came to distribute real love, to remind people what real love is. And people started to respond. And then as the temple started to come up, this program continued. Sunday Love Feast. The purpose is to invite and give them nice Krishna Prasad, and through that process give them Krishna Prema. People is not going to come. Like another very beautiful example in that respect is that when you, it's a little crude example maybe, but still it's a nice analogy it is sometimes used. When you catch a fish, how do you catch a fish? You give the bait, right? And the fish actually eats the bait, but it gets hooked. So this is the way to hook people to Krishna consciousness. Once you swallow the bait, you are hooked. In that respect, we can also consider another very wonderful example. Jesus, do you remember what Jesus told Peter, the fisherman? Peter was the first person that Jesus actually preached to. Peter was a fisherman. So he told Peter that I'll make you a fisherman of men. Fisherman of human beings. You are catching fish, but that is just to earn some money. But I will teach you to become a fisherman of men. So the preachers are actually fishermen, like fishermen. They catch conditioned souls. And the fishermen offer their fish in the market to the human beings. And the preacher offers this fish, human-like fish, to Krishna. The spirit souls to Krishna. And Krishna loves it. Krishna loves that feast. So this is how Prabhupada started the Sunday feast. The purpose of the Sunday feast is to attract people and give them Krishna Prem. Give them Krishna's mercy. Remind them how Krishna loves them. Everybody wants to be loved, isn't it? Everyone wants to love somebody, and everybody wants that somebody should love him or her. But the greatest lover is actually Krishna. He loves us all. So much so that he is going with us wherever we go. Now, although Krishna loves us, but unless we respond, that love is not going to be complete. Right? There's an expression that love is a two-way traffic. Both the parties have to love. Then only the love will be complete. An example. A young boy loves a young girl. But the girl doesn't respond. How does the boy feel? I'm sure sometime or other all of you must have had that experience. So naturally he feels, or a young girl loves a handsome young boy and he doesn't respond. How does she feel? But then one day gets a response, I love you. How does the person feel? So in this case, Krishna loves us, but we are not responding to that love. So you can well imagine how Krishna feels. Like just as, when somebody is in love with somebody, Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So let's consider another analogy. A boy is in love with the girl, but the girl doesn't respond. Then what happens? Doesn't the boy run after the girl? And try to respond. Now consider, we are not responding to Krishna's love, but Krishna, like that boy, is running after us. And that's why as a super soul, he is there, always following wherever we are going. Please listen to me. Why don't you turn towards me and see how handsome I am? And when we say, Krishna, I love you, all that Krishna wants to hear is that, just this few little words. Krishna, I love you. Just these 4 little words. And I tell you, Krishna starts to dance with ecstasy. That's why Krishna is so fond of the preachers. No one is as dear to Krishna as the preachers. Those who go out and get the conditioned souls and bring them to Krishna. So that is what the reality is. Krishna loves us, but we don't love Krishna. Another example Prabhupada gives in this respect. A rich man's son rejects the father and goes away. Just consider his condition. He's inexperienced in this world and he doesn't know how to deal with this world. Just for a little food he has to beg. He is humiliated. He has to work so hard to just get a little money. Whereas his father is a not even a trillionaire, zillionaire, whatever it is. His father is so rich, but he is suffering as a destitute. So is that a desirable situation? To give up our rich father and suffer in this condition? No. And especially the father is waiting, not only waiting, as I was saying, the father is running after us, come back, come back. Just as Vyasdeva was running after Sukadeva Goswami, another example in Shastra. When Sukadeva Goswami left home, Vyasdeva was running after him. My son, come back. But we are so deaf that we don't hear that call from our Father. All you have to do is just respond. And we'll become situated in a situation where we will become the children of the most powerful, most opulent, and most influential personality. That is Krishna consciousness. And this is Prabhupada's arrangement to distribute, to remind everybody and distribute this love. So with that objective, Srila Prabhupada started the Sunday Love Feast. So please take part in this feast and enjoy the loving relationship, a beautiful loving exchange. I'm also thinking of another arrangement. Why come only on Sunday? Driving all the way, wherever you're coming from. Why not come on Friday? Right? Come here on Friday evening and stay here for Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. And accommodation facilities are limited, so book in advance. And I can tell you that you'll have a good time. And if you have children, you can bring your children also. And your children will not only have a beautiful place to play, but they'll also have the opportunity to learn music and dance and acting, drama. So all these facilities will be there. And the grown-ups will have the most profound transcendental knowledge. Thank you very much. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Srila Prabhupada ki.